Hi everybody, my name is Aoudi and this is video number 14 of the Kali Linux Security Tools series. In today's video, I will continue with the Web Application Analysis group, and our second subgroup is Web Application Proxies. Under this subgroup, we have a single but really very important tool called BURP SUITE. BURP SUITE is in fact a set of tools developed by Portswigger, I hope I'm saying it right, and is used for penetration testing of web applications. And that's why you will need to have basic understanding of how web applications work, and better yet, really, some knowledge of web application security. So before we start the demo, let me go over the absolute basics. I explained in a previous video that there are two main communication architectures in computing: client-server and peer-to-peer. Web or HTTP communication is a client-server communication model with a relatively simple request-response paradigm. A client, typically our web browser, sends an HTTP request to a web server such as Apache. The server responds back. Simple. HTTP requests involve one of several methods such as get, post, head, delete, put, and so on and so forth. For example, GET requests ask the server for a resource like a web page, and a post sends data to the server within the body of the request. Like, for example, when we submit a registration form. A web proxy like BURP SUITE would sit in the middle of this communication between the client and the server, allowing it to intercept HTTP traffic. Now that we got the basics out of the way, let's start the demo. Let's ignore this JRE warning. Also, let us ignore this update. We don't need it for this brief demo. As you can see, this is the community edition of BURP SUITE. Unfortunately, it is very limited. One of the limitations is that it allows only for temporary projects as opposed to projects that you can save on your computer. We will accept the BURP defaults. This is a pretty advanced user interface with a lot of sections or panes and a lot of options and a lot of tools. But the first thing that I want you to notice is that we cannot really perform a full web scan, and that's unfortunate. But at the heart of this tool is something very important. It's the web proxy that I talked about. You can see here some buttons. Some of them are disabled for now, but you will see that there is an intercept button. So basically what the proxy will do is intercept HTTP traffic coming out of my web browser and going into some server. And of course, it will allow you to do something with these HTTP requests. You can use your own web browser, but you have to change the settings and tell it to go through this proxy, or you can use the built-in browser, and I'm gonna do that. Okay, I think we are ready to go. So what I'm gonna do with the intercept being on, I'm gonna go ahead and visit my favorite fake bank, Altoro Mutual. Okay, so take a look here and notice that the browser is not doing anything. Basically, the proxy intercepted this request. You can tell here it's a GET request going to the Altoro Mutual web server. And I have the option to either drop this request, in this case I would get an error, or of course I have the option to proceed with the request. Let's try again. In this case, I will click forward and I will click forward again. Why did I have to click twice? Because sometimes there are multiple requests, okay? And of course, in some cases, it can be very counterproductive and annoying if you have to click forward all the time. So maybe you do want to put the intercept to off mode. Okay, for now, it's okay because this is what the demo is all about. Let's go to the online banking login. And now again, it's a GET request. So I'm going to click forward perhaps a couple of times. No, one time was enough. And what I will do, I will proceed with the login. I will just put in any credentials. Okay, let's notice now three things. First of all, again, the request is being held. Think of it as a temporary place, a holding cell even. The second thing, it's a post request this time. What's unique about the post, as we mentioned before, is that it allows us to send data within the body of the HTTP request, as opposed to within the URL itself. And we should be able to see the username, Samer, and the password, my secret pass. But that's not it. I can actually modify it here. And this is the actual password that will go from my computer to the server. And of course, the login failed. Now you might ask, what is it that I can do with a proxy? A lot of things. Remember, although this is a limited edition, still the proxy is in the heart of the tool and we can do a lot with it. We can analyze the traffic. We can see what's happening. Number two, we can see what's inside this HTTP request and of course the response. So if you take a look at the history here, you should be able to see and analyze the different requests and responses that we have. But also in some instances, we can actually perform an attack. Of course, this would require that the web application is really flawed. Let me give you a very quick example. Let's say you're in an online store and you bought something and the price is $100. So the price is something, of course, you're not supposed to be able to change. But let's say that the logic of the application is really flawed, that it doesn't check whether you paid $100 or not. It simply waits for the confirmation from the payment gateway that the payment is successful. In this case, if you intercepted the request and changed the $100 to a $1, let's say, you would still get that response from the payment gateway, which also doesn't care what the price is and simply says, oh, the payment was successful. So in this case, of course, that would be something that we really don't want to see in any modern web application. But unfortunately, you know, if it's not done right, you can still see something like that. So this is it for this very brief demo. I hope that you enjoyed it. If you did enjoy it, you know what to do. And thank you for all the questions that I'm getting in the comments section. I'm looking forward to more interesting questions and I hope I am responsive enough.